Okay, here I'm going to record this. Welcome everybody to, I guess we started step four. Everybody went and watched step four. I'm assuming on the stuff. And did you get anything out of step four on the video? Is it in any way helpful or enlightening?
Amazing.
It
The
was
best thing
Okay.
great.
I ever heard. Thank you.
It's the best thing you've ever heard. Okay, good. All right, well, I guess let's just start with questions about it. Does anybody have any questions about that video, that document, anything that they didn't understand? No? And so
No,
you've used the four steps to now solve all your problems. Okay. Wow.
kind of, not
Yeah,
really.
this is kind of not really. Okay. Does
You
anybody
made a comment.
have?
You made a comment, and I don't think I
Oh, I
wrote it.
make comments all the time, sister.
But I know, but this was a good one. It said something like, "If you throw salt on me, it only hurts if I have an open wound." Was that what you said?
I
Yeah,
said that. I wish I said that originally. I did not. That is a quote from something else, but it's one of my favorites.
I love that. I wrote that.
Yeah.
That
And listen, if you could live by that, it would change your life. Like there's I don't know if I have said it in this workshop yet or not, but there's one thing I say to people. I say like, look, I can't prove to you that other people don't exist and that they're just mirrors for you, but I can guarantee you that if you live your life that way, your life will be 10 times better. If
hmm
you walk around and say any energy that's coming at me is mirroring back something that's inside of me, probably something that I'm not that aware of, right? And the universe is showing it to me. Um, and the other person is not responsible. It's because they're just mirroring back what's in me. That is like that will set you so free. And the fourth step in all fairness is very much that kind of thing, you know?
hmm Yeah, it's great. I did it on myself. I did. I used me as my person.
How do you mean?
Like,
What?
I did a four step on myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, traditionally four steps have not been very good with that. Um,
Yeah.
but but in this case, and I think we've opened up this conversation, even though we don't say it here explicitly, this conversation of parts. Um,
Mm.
when you start to incorporate this notion of parts into the fourth step, it gets very powerful because now you could do resentments against yourself. And get free from them in the same way that you could before. But before, it was kind of impossible. So you have to have this understanding that you're not one, but you're many in order for this to work.
And I've never done fourth. I've done a lot of fourth steps in different programs, but I've never done one on me. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, this is really beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. But as
Yeah,
Kelly was that a question, Kelly?
cool.
I
Mhm.
forgot to say, Wendy wanted me to tell you guys hi. She can't make it.
Okay. All right. Does somebody want to use one of their resentments as an example? I think that would probably be a good thing to do. We can kind of just go through it live here, um, and just see it in practice because especially one that's maybe even that you haven't worked on or that's actually like I'm sure Shana with all this car shuffling there must be a nice healthy resentment in there somewhere, um, even if it's toward God, for for not giving you the right car or whatever. um, because then we can start to break this down and see and especially point out the things that are the most important. I mean, I think in the video we did a pretty solid good job of going, these are the most important things. But when we do it live, we can really kind of go, okay, like this is the thing to really get because when you do the four step as a homework assignment, it can just be checking off boxes and all that. But if you really are using it as a tool to get free of the bondage of self, you can be very sort of pointed and direct with it, and you can really make a lot of progress with something, um, in a pretty quick amount of time, especially if you're willing to get down to the energy of the pain that is actually causing all of this mess. Okay, so does anybody brave enough to want to try to work through a resentment? Oh, wow, look at that. I can't hear you, Kate.
I was a good little student, but you want to know why? Honestly,
Why?
because
Tell me.
either do this or do my continuing education. Like I
I'm
have like
glad.
a list of things to do, and like
Yeah.
I picked the lesser of the two evils. I'm like, I'll do a fourth step before I do that.
Well, and what makes it so palatable is look at how beautifully color coded this document is. I mean,
I
let's
It was
let's
really
be honest. Have you ever
it's so nice. Yeah.
I somehow the colors got messed up, which I'm not at all happy about. Gotta,
Uh,
this is where my OCD comes in, so I'm a little bit I gotta fix this.
um,
Uh,
I
so
will do.
do you
I
have
can.
one, Kate? All right, let's go for it.
I'll do mine. I don't know. It's like imperfect, of course.
Yeah, we're not concerned
But
about whether it's
yeah.
perfect or not. Oh,
Or
I see.
um,
I've got some kind of weird condition on here where if I type into it, it changes the colors.
oh,
We'll
that's
work
it.
through that. So I think because everybody's looking at my screen, we can just go ahead and I can type it into here. It's like, okay, who do you resent? I guess you resent Kate.
Right. So I read right. I put me, me.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, but then I put in parentheses only a part of myself, my ego and my wounded child, wounded young adult. So like, cause I don't feel like
That's fun.
is that okay? Like I don't resent me right now. Like, even though like all this stuff that I'm going to tell you, like I've learned to like love myself around it.
Okay, so let's just say let's point this out right now because that's actually a very important point.
Mhm.
You cannot resent yourself. It's actually not possible.
Oh, good.
So whenever you're talking about a resentment, you're talking about a part that is misguided and misunderstanding the universe.
Right.
So
Okay,
only parts can resent. You can't.
okay, good. Well,
So
then
okay,
I
good.
got it right.
So
So I
then you
put
did it right. Yes.
a part of myself, my ego, and then my wounded child and wounded young adult. Okay, why am I angry? I'm angry because I time debted, I money debted, I never saved, I never got married or had my own family. Um,
Okay, so you probably went a little too far there. So if you said money debted and time debted, I can
yep.
buy that. But now when you get into never
Okay.
married or have a family, it's probably a separate resentment.
Okay, that's great. All right, so those were the two that were at the top. I time debted
Yeah.
and I money debted.
Okay, and then we could certainly break it down and you have a part of yourself that is mad at yourself for never getting married, etc. Right? So that's a
Well,
separate one.
it all tied into my money disease.
Okay. Well, here
Like,
we'll put it in there. So
you know,
married, was it married and kids?
yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, like my sex and love addiction and my money addiction are very, enmeshed, obviously.
Sure.
Um, so and then in the next column where it says, how did it affect me? Or was my self-esteem affected? Yes.
Yep.
Was my emotional, um, what does that say? Serenity?
Security.
Security?
Yep.
Yes. Um,
Yes. Okay.
but yes for all of them. I mean,
Okay.
obviously.
So, but well, it's always good to touch all the bases. So emotional security, yes.
Yep.
Financial security, without question. Your
Yes.
ambitions, yeah.
Yes. Personal
Personal
relation.
relations for sure. Sex relations, I'll
Definitely.
trust you.
Yep.
Okay. Here, without question. Okay. So
Yes.
now we come to the sick man's prayer.
Mhm.
And so what's your understanding of that?
So, it's like be gentle with myself. Because the sick man's prayer is about how, we have hold compassion and love for the person who's still sick and suffering. And in this case, it would be me. So,
Right. So this is something I haven't done. I haven't tried to do the sick man's prayer for myself from a part. So let's see what this would look like. Okay,
okay.
so the part is the thing that's angry, right? And the part says, and so then the part must want something, right?
Mhm.
And so that want is being frustrated. And so what does that part want?
The part wants peace.
Right? Peace, but it
And
also wants financial
yeah,
stability and
financial
family
security.
and kids and all that, right?
Yeah, I mean, not, I mean,
To have a
currently,
good life.
Yes, like I have a vision, and my vision is to be married to my king,
Hmm.
financially secure, and retired on or before 65. Like that's my vision.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So then this part would now be praying that Kate would get all those things,
Okay.
right? So give that a shot. I'm not saying that's easy, but just give that a shot.
Well, I just pulled up the sick man's prayer,
Yeah.
but
But the
um
basic idea of it, right, is I guess go ahead and read that just so
well,
everybody can hear it.
This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way they disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, "This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done."
I almost had this sense, and this is interesting because um, I almost have the sense that it might work better to do it the other way around. It might work better for you, the real Kate, to pray for this part that's so mad
Mhm.
and that it get all these things that it wants. Let's
Mhm.
try that. That feels a little bit more powerful. We might be breaking some kind of rule somewhere, but since um,
So,
hopefully the 12-step police don't come and get us.
are you asking me to just like say a prayer out loud?
Yeah, here, like go with me on this. So it's like, so
Okay.
okay, we'll kind of do it
Okay.
together. I'll start and then you take over.
Okay.
So it's like we're coming from our higher selves and we're praying that this wounded part be given everything that it's kind of asking for, right? Because it's mad at us, but we're praying for it. So it's like, um, God, we just pray for this wounded part. We pray that it has the relationships that it wants. We pray that it feels the safety that it yearns for. Okay, now you pick up where I left off.
We pray that there is a belief system of self-worth for a savings account. We pray for a belief system that there's self-worth and self-esteem, that um having money in the bank is, you know, a worthy thing, that I don't have to blow everything all the time, that I'm worth having money in the bank. I'm worth having a
This
partner.
part, like, pray for that part. Pray for the part that's hurting and wounded, right? That this wounded part, she have this sense of worth, that she feel safe, that she has money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that she feels safe, that she feels loved, that she feels grounded, that
Yeah.
she stays out of self-sabotage, that she
Hmm.
faces her fear and allows it to come up so that she can love it and then let it go. Um, that there's no more self-sabotage.
Mm, great. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, it's good. Right. And what I found with that prayer is that it kind of softens everything up.
Mhm.
It sort of like loosens everything up so you can start to go in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So next. So
So selfish. Always the same. I don't care about oh, that was you. Was I my part selfish? Yes. Um, I wrote, what did I wrote? I can't even read what I wrote. So I was selfish. Like I wrote here something about my highest and best self. Um, like I don't think I ever really allow myself to get to my highest potential. Like I hold her
right,
back, you
right,
know? And then so therefore like my fantasy and my visioning is like, "Oh, I'm thriving," but really like there's still this little part of me that's scared and doesn't allow herself to really be in her full light.
right. So now in this, when it says always the same, it's you're literally just put this down. You literally go, I don't care. So for this part doesn't care about you. It just wants what it wants, right?
Right.
I don't,
Yes.
I don't care. I don't care about Kate. I only care about getting what I want. And so this is part of what I call touching the emotional bases. Like
Mhm.
if that's the same every time, then it's like we just need to touch and see that it's true. Can you see where this part that's held like this, right? That's in this graspy place and just is upset and just wants what it wants. Can you see that it doesn't really care about anybody else other than itself?
Mhm.
Right. So that's what we mean. In the ego, in a part is always consumed with its own wants and doesn't care about anybody else. And in a traditional four-step kind of format, we would identify with that. We'd say that's me. But here we're separating ourselves from this part. And
Right.
that's helping us to sort of heal it and get more perspective on it.
Yep.
Okay. So this next one actually isn't very important at all. It's sort of a I'm considering taking it off, this next thing about have I communicated how I feel about this.
Yeah,
Um,
because yes, I have. I
right.
just put yes, I have, and I am now.
Yeah. The problem I see with it is there's a little bit of judgment that can come in. They could be like, "Oh, it's good that I communicated it," or "It's not good that I didn't communicate it," and that's not the case. It doesn't. It's not really important whether we. It's not. It's better that we communicated it or not. In some cases, it's better that we didn't communicate it. So that's
Mhm.
why I feel like it's not necessarily that valuable. It's a touch confusing in a way.
Mhm.
Um, but this next one is really important. So have you communicated about this? Yes.
Mhm.
I have told myself off many times.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so now this is where it gets interesting, right? This is where we really start to get, that's why this is in dark blue, if everybody remembers from the video. That's letting us know these three, and really these first two are really the kind of the most important things. This one, um, uh, oh, how am I doing exactly? Well, okay, anyway. Let's work on this. So what is, and this is kind of literally dictating the mind. What is the mind saying about all of this?
Well, I wrote down like I live in this like inferior that part of me lives in the inferiority versus the superiority complex. Like
So
I'm
don't, so
better
what we
than
want to do is we want to
this.
capture what the part is saying, right? So right now you're commenting on or paraphrasing or encapsulating.
So
What is the part saying? Like you never did this with your
not
life, or
good enough,
say
but
again,
you're not good enough.
you're not good enough. Okay.
You are delusional.
Okay.
You live in fantasy
Okay.
and you are judgmental.
Okay. Perfect.
Hmm.
So for everybody at home, like that's what we want to do. We want to capture what it's saying because at the heart of this, this is how we get down to what's really going on.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this part is saying you're not good enough. Now, the most important thing in all of this is remember, I'd rather feel anger than feel what I'm actually feeling, right? So I'm trying to avoid a feeling here. So the more we can start to tune in to what is the feeling underneath this, what's the feeling tone of this, the sooner we can get down to it and the sooner we can start to break free. So here is a, this voice is kind of yelling at you, right? It's saying, you are not good enough. You are delusional. You live in a fantasy. You are judgmental. Okay. So what is that thing feeling? It's kind of attacking you, isn't it?
And it's like it's definitely anger and denial.
How is it denial?
Well, because I'm not really I'm like because I'm in delusional and I'm in fantasy, I'm in denial. Like that's how it feels.
So we want to tune into this part, right?
Hmm.
This part is saying all these things
Hmm.
and it's attacking out, it's lashing out, right? And it's mad, but it's doing that to cover up what it's feeling.
Just the sadness.
Okay. You get that? It's like, okay, good. That's a great job. So
Yeah.
what really is going on here? So it seems like it's mad, but really it's sad. Now
Yeah.
you're getting somewhere. You see that? You go to where what the energy is. Okay, so now tell me about why is this part so sad?
Well, it's sad because if you go back to the first column, which was how I timed at it and blew money and, never really focused on my future. That's the sadness I like that part, those parts
Okay,
lost stuff.
right. But you're speaking about this part almost like it's a grown up. How old would you say this part is, and how old is that sad? Not how many
Oh,
years has
well,
it been since it started? What's
I,
the
well,
age of this part that feels
I'd
sad?
say like, I mean, wow, 5 to 25.
Well, but 5.
5, right.
Okay.
You can say
So
5.
so this part is not sad about you living your ultimate potential. 5 years old, dude, 5 years old, they don't care about that. So
Mhm.
why is this 5-year-old sad? So just, just again, this is an energy. The sooner you make this an energetic exercise and you're tuning into the energy, the sooner you're going to get down to the core of what's really happening. If you make it an intellectual fact-finding exercise, you can write on this for, a bunch of time and not really get to the heart of it. So
Mhm.
she's sad. Absolutely, she's sad. But why is she sad? Because she's 5. I mean, it's right there, actually. She's sad because she feels like she's not good enough.
Right.
So you see how she's projecting that onto you? She's saying you're not good enough.
Mhm.
She feels like she's not good enough.
Yeah, it started in I think it really started when I went to school.
Okay.
And I went to school when I was younger. Like I went, but maybe even it was like maybe just a smidge older, where when I got into the world with other people, n- like when I was in my bubble, I don't think I felt that.
Right.
But once I left the bubble, which was mom, dad, and sister, and went to school, that's when I started to feel those feelings.
Do you feel how heartbroken she is? I mean, she's completely devastated here.
Mhm.
She's
Yeah.
not good enough. So what's underneath not good enough, right? Not good enough is almost a soft way of saying it. She doesn't feel good enough. What is she actually feeling?
Not worthy?
Yeah, not worthy, or
Sure.
she feels like she's worth less,
Right.
right? That's, do you feel how we're really dialing down into the pain here? She feels worthless. This part feels worthless. And
Mhm.
she's completely heartbroken about it.
Yeah.
So now you know, now this whole resentment centers around this. It's like if, and her heart is just aching. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So notice that all this whole thing about potential and all of that starts to dry up. It doesn't have much weight, right? Can you see that?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's this is what all of that other stuff was designed to hide. You don't want to be here. You don't want to feel this feeling. And so you've created this whole resentment to avoid this feeling. And now that you're feeling it, this is a healthier way to handle this feeling by
Mhm.
coming to it directly, bringing it some love, right? And starting to heal that wounded child.
Yeah, and the tools that I use now are like recovery tools. And when I was in those parts at those ages, I self-soothed constantly,
Sure, we all did.
like food and
Absolutely.
meditation and drugs and alcohol,
Right. To deal with this sadness.
yeah.
Yeah. So now that you're down to this sadness, so the thing to do is to now, and this is where I really recommend people keep a parts list, right? And this is one of the most important things to come out of it. In terms of an inventory now, part
Hmm.
of the inventory is going to be what are your parts?
Hmm.
So sad that I'm worthless, that's one of the parts.
Oh, I'm writing this down.
Yeah.
That's great.
And now you begin to work on healing that. So the amends and all of that, and the work in 6 and 7 and all that come from this. This is the piece you want to get down to. Do you notice how it's starting to take the air out of the balloon of the resentment?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that's not what she's concerned about. She's not concerned about all of this is BS.
Hmm.
What the real issue is she feels like she's worthless.
Hmm.
And when you're with that, then all the other junk just kind of vanishes. Okay, so this is, I mean, this one's kind of obvious here. This, how am I doing exactly what I'm accusing them of? She's saying you're not good enough.
Hmm.
But we saw that, right? Because, when you're saying somebody else is not good enough, you might as well just be saying I'm not good enough.
Right.
So we say that
And,
as yeah,
and that's what I did my whole life. Like nobody was ever good enough. Nothing was ever good enough. Like no partner, no pair of shoes, no, like not, I always wanted more or better.
right. Right. So that's the technique that you use to keep yourself stuck in the same place again and
Mhm.
again, right? Is nothing's good enough. And you push it all away, and then you end up with not
Nothing.
very much. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's where like, the not having a family and a husband and a kids came in. Like,
Look, I have all those things, and they're a pain in the ass, so you
I
didn't miss
know.
out on
Listen, I love myself. I
that.
mean, and I have a dog and my life is beautiful and
Yeah, you're free. You're free.
I am so free. Like it's really beautiful. Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I
kidding, of course, but I mean but there's a reality to it. It's just like, you know,
yeah,
there's
e-
a reality to everything. If you have a job, not every day is going to be perfect. You know what I mean? That's
exact
just how it is. It's like
exact.
if you have I mean, luckily I have a wonderful relationship with my wife, and so it's
Mhm.
it's as close to perfect as I can imagine it being, and it's just like, well, it's just great.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it perfect. That's for sure.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so right, so now, like I say, this is the key here. This next piece, right? To just this is where you sort of take a look. You go, okay, I'm in touch with this sadness. Can you see why just being in this place of resentment is a lot easier than being down in this sadness?
Hmm.
You see why you made that trade-off and why you've lived in this state of resentment toward yourself because it's just easier. It's easier than going to the depths of sadness here. Who wants to do that?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that's why we avoid it. We're doing every scenario in recovery is the same scenario. I am
Mhm.
choosing a lesser pain to cover up a greater pain, period. And
Period.
yeah, period. And this resentment form is one way of articulating that and seeing that and using it as a can opener to get down and see that. So it's like here I'm avoiding my sadness by blaming myself, something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, so I say these are the most important things. Like these kind of these three here are pretty important. But there's some value for sure in this positive and negative self-seeking. The negative self-seeking, I think there's a lot of value in that. So again, the positive self-seeking, we covered a little bit already,
Hmm.
right? That part wants, you know, connection,
Hmm.
love, safety. Do you have some of these words? Am I shouldn't just
Yeah.
be
Connection, love, safety. That's good. Emotional peace.
emotional piece, right? So that's what it's that's what it wants on the healthy level. But on the
Mhm.
negative level, what does it want?
It still wants to, I guess, in some like sick way, like either hide in the pain or so I don't have
Yeah,
to
it
feel what,
wants to suffer, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
the
exactly.
way to know what the negative self-seeking is to look at what you have, like what you're getting here, right?
Mhm.
And so it wants to feel guilty. And so
Right.
this is all the stuff that you grew up with. This is your normal. Like this is, it wants to hate itself, right? Self-hatred,
Yeah, which
right?
I didn't think I had until I did the steps the first time. I'm like, oh my God, I really hate myself. And I didn't really understand that. And
Yeah.
and
And now you don't hate yourself, but you still have parts that hate yourself.
yeah, sure.
And
Right.
that's fine. That's fine. That's no harm, no foul. That's right.
Mhm.
So again, so the way to think about this is I'm addicted to these things. In other words, I need to have them.
Mhm.
right? And so um, in this case, what we're talking about here is I'm just trying to get down to the heart of what she's saying here.
Mhm.
Money debted, time debted, and merit. I'm angry at myself for, well, yeah, one, you want to be angry at yourself. You want to blame yourself. And you
Mhm.
want to be in this frustrated state of I can't get there or I can't get these things that I want.
Mhm.
You want to be in that state of lack, right? Of
Right.
right. So it's
Right.
and consciously we don't want that at all. That's the thing that's difficult to
No.
understand. If you ask somebody, they'll say, no, I don't want that. But how you know they want that is that's what they have.
Right. And it's like lack, sloth, procrastination. That's the way it comes out.
Yeah. And all of this judgment, you are delusional. You live in fantasy. You are judgmental. It's like, yeah, you want to hate yourself. You want to beat yourself up. You want to criticize yourself. You want criticism.
Mhm.
So this is another way we start to see these parts. And it's for me, it's helpful to talk about it as this addiction, that these things that I say I don't want, these traits, these things when we get into 6 and 7, it's like, I don't want this anymore. It's like, you got to get that there's a part of you that loves these things and relishes them. That's
Mhm.
the main value in this. It's also good to see that deep down, we all want these same things. It's
Yeah.
also good to know that at our heart, these are the things that we really want.
Mhm.
Okay, so what are your fears? What are the fears underneath all this?
Well, the fears of being alone,
Hmm.
sat down, getting old. Oh, being broke and old and alone.
Yes,
How,
good.
how's
Very good.
that?
Yeah, but that's perfect. That's exactly
And
right.
put that shit down. That's really what that is exactly what it is. Being old, alone, and broke.
Yes, and hold on. Right. Fear of loneliness, fear of being broke, old, and alone. And you know what? Again, um, this whole notion of we're never upset for the reason we think we're upset. Even fear of old age seems like a valid and real fear. And it's not. It's not. So it's like we can always get down to what the fear really is. Really, what this is, fear of being broken, old, and alone. It's just fear of being unwanted.
Yeah, and here and I also wrote down like still wanting to be rescued. Like
Mm,
I want to be rescued. Like I still like that's, there's that little girl, that
yeah.
5 year, 10-year-old that still wants to be rescued, financially, emotionally, you know. Mhm.
Yeah, and that's more, I don't even know if it's the same part. It's a part that wants it. So in this fantasy part, and so in reality, what she's probably talking to is another part.
Mhm.
So you have a part that loves to be in fantasy. So it's like
Yeah.
this part's not wrong. You know what I mean? That's the irony. But it's just saying about another part, right? So you have a part that wants to imagine, wants to daydream and all of that and get high. Fantasy is such a great high.
Oh
Really
yeah.
is. Yeah. And so you have another drug addiction called living in fantasy.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Just like your thing. It's like I want this, this, and this. Why do you want that? Because you have a fantasy that you think that's going to make you feel complete or good. And that's all it is, sad to say, because the only thing that's really going to satisfy you is your own spirit and your own soul.
Yep.
There's no marriage or anything that's going to satisfy you. Just not going to
No.
happen.
Yeah, no kid, no money,
No.
none of it, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the self-love piece.
Right. And because of my role, I get to I get to deal with people and I get to see how people have complete just like Kelly and I today. We've been like it's just like I lived at the beach too, so I'm a little bit more over the beach, but like, mountains and snow and all that. I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's cool. And you're like, no, no, desert. I'm like, desert, tumbleweeds. Yeah. So I'll get you a tumbleweed for Christmas. But you see what I mean? It's like the sort of the grass is greener. Oh, Kelly touched her ear again. Um, but But it's kind of the same thing here. You have this part, the fantasy, the fantasy is um like so there are women, let's say, who haven't had children, right? And they have this fantasy of what it's like to have a kid. And if you have kids and have had kids, you don't have those same illusions. And so you're
Yeah.
talking with somebody who is completely delusional about what it actually is. And
Mhm.
but you don't have the luxury of having any illusions about it because you've lived through it. And it's the
Right.
same thing, it's just like there are people who have the job that I want to have. And you can see that they have this like, oh, if I got there, then it'd be so great. And I'd be like, no, it would be Tuesday. It would be
Right.
Tuesday because that's how it is. It's just like, you do a job for 3 years and it's a job. Not to
Yeah.
say that you're not fulfilled by it or anything. Again, I'm very fulfilled and happy in my marriage and stuff, but it's just not this idyllic thing.
No, yeah, that's right. And it's no coincidence that I sponsor 5 people, but 3 of them have kids.
Hmm.
And I mean, I would not want any of that. I mean, the drugs, the driving, the
Yeah,
relationships, the bullying at school. I mean,
totally.
you name it. It's like, holy shit, like this is like no thanks. Like God, I feel like that's why God put these people in my life to show me that
Right, to show you, right? To show you that you got off the hook easy. And so, but I'm saying it, but the reality is I highly recommend parenthood and childhood because it changes you in
yeah,
a way that is incredible. You know what I mean? So it's like all these things are true, but fantasy is a drug. That's the
yes.
thing about it. Hopium. It's like I had a whole group that I did facilitated a couple years ago, where it's like we fundamentally over the course of a year fu completely dismantled hope. Like we just
That's
killed
great.
hope because the essence of hope is I'm not doing that well right now. And I'm imagining or fantasizing a future in which I'm doing okay. And the problem with that is all of the beauty of life is found right here, right now. All the power, all the joy is now. And so there's no version of hope. There's a kind of version of hope where, like in this work, where you know that if I show up and I do the work, that things will change. But
Yes.
it's not a fantasy or a high. It's kind of a knowing. And that's
It's
the closest thing to
reality.
healthy
That's a
hope I've seen.
reality. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's a reality. Like if you
right.
do the work, you take the actions, you have faith, like you get better.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's not a high. That's not like, oh, I can't wait. It's like, yeah, I'm getting better. Okay. So then what are your protection mechanisms here? This should be interesting, right? So up here at the top it says character defenses, which would be character defects, which I've kind of taken out of my language, character defects,
Right.
because it's part of the sort of Christian puritanical roots of the 12 steps. But what I've discovered with the character defects is whenever we're doing something that's wackadoodle that hurts us or hurt other people, we're always trying to protect ourselves. So we're always trying to defend ourselves. So if I'm being judgmental of other people, and I was doing a post earlier where I was talking about the up until I don't know however many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, the only way that I could feel good about myself was by feeling superior to others. Right.
Right.
That's a character defense. It's like I don't have my own worth. So the only way I can get it is by that's not coming from a place of health. I'm not choosing that. I'm doing that because I'm desperate to feel some kind of good about myself. Right. And so the only way I know how to do it, but that's not, it's not a choice. It's a it's desperation, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what are your character defects in this? What are the things that you're doing to protect yourself?
So I think I guess the main thing I do to protect myself is like I self-sabotage or I have like a
Okay.
fear of success piece, or I continually repeat the same thing over again. Like the
Hmm.
definition of insanity.
Yeah. Well, we all do that. So that's join the
I
club.
know, but like I'm talking about my money specifically.
Right. Right. Well, I spoke with somebody today, and they had, or I guess it was yesterday, but they had a situation in which their father, was constantly feast or famine. They'd get some money and then he would burn through it. And
Okay.
so what are they doing in their lives? They're repeating the exact same pattern. They're getting up to a certain level and they can't get past that because that emotional, that money thermometer, that emotional thing says, I'm comfortable here. But if I go past that, I'm breaking the rules of the family system. And so I come back down to low and just
Yeah.
repeat, repeat, repeat.
And I think mine was rebellion because like my parents always lived within their means. They were never in debt. They're still not in debt. You know, they always lived within their means and they always were like, you know, you're spending too much or you're this or you're that. And so I think my rebellion was it was part one of the parts is rebellion, like against
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not going to do it the way that you did it. I'm going to do it my way. You're differentiating yourself from them.
or
Right.
I would think that they were cheap
Hmm.
or you know, not like current with
Yeah.
like happening in the world.
I'm going to put judgmental down here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
judgmental and rebellious, I
Yep.
think.
Got rebellion in
But I
there. Good.
myself.
Let's see. So, and then, in a lot of these, you can have this. I mean, certainly you're avoiding feelings, right? Avoiding
Sure.
feelings. Certainly there's blaming in here, and these are pretty consistent across all resentments, right? So this is really great that you're able to sort of find a way to start to work on these resentments that you have toward yourself. And of course, this right here is the key, this
Yeah.
sadness, right? This sadness, this little girl who's aged 5, that's that's the deal. If you spend time with that, if you heal that, this resentment will plague you no longer. And that's how
Well,
it works.
you know, it's really, really cool. After I did this 4 step this weekend, I went to a Unity festival
Hmm.
and um we played with like angels and angel cards and then at night there was a band and then we danced and there was like fire spinning and lights and I was like dancing and just my little girl was just so happy, you know, like
Mm,
it
that's
was
lovely.
a nice release. Like I that was sort of like a part of my amends to myself was just to like have fun and have be safe having fun. You know, like I used to think I was having fun, but I was really hurting myself.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
now I can go out and have fun in a safe and healthy manner. And it was super cool. Like my shoes were off and I jumped in the river that morning. Like I've been doing some cold plunging and like,
Wow.
yeah, I've been just doing like some like healing stuff. So it's
That's
been,
great.
yeah. Hmm.
That's great. And so, just to touch on this, first of all, let me just say thank you for being willing to do this. And I think
Thank
because I
you.
don't, I don't think I really touched on how to do a resentment against yourself in the video. So,
Not. But
yeah.
some
So
video asked if they could, and you said yes. And then that's where I got the idea. I was like, I'm gonna do myself.
good. So, but now we've done a real life demonstration of it for people who are coming along and following
Oh,
this
right.
step workshop later.
Exactly.
So that's really great. So
Oh,
thanks for
amazing.
that. And
Yeah.
then I'm not sure. I mean, this part might be responsible, but this part that's sort of like keeping yourself down or under a certain amount of money or, not letting yourself get above, it'll be really interesting to see what is that part made. Why is that part afraid of going past a certain point or giving yourself a certain amount of abundance? That's a sort of interesting
But
question, which I
like I
don't,
can toss something in real quick. It's related to work. Like this new law came out with work that we have to get a contract signed and we have to, I sell real estate. So the sellers always used to pay the commission, but now they're saying that if some sellers might not pay the commission. So if I work with a buyer, they need to pay the commission. And I have to say to them, if the seller doesn't pay, you need to pay me. And I'm still having a hard time with that conversation. Now, it
mm,
just happened in November, so it's only been a couple months, but I'm working with some really big high-end clients right now. And there's part of me that either doesn't feel worthy or is afraid to ask for what I deserve.
hmm.
So hopefully through this exercise, I'll be able to, you know, value myself more.
Yeah, but so that part right there. So I'd say your best chance at valuing yourself would be to take that part right there, the one that doesn't feel worthy enough to say that, and
Mhm.
go back to step one with that and go,
Mhm.
I am powerless over this part that's terrified of speaking up for myself or asking for what I want, and work the steps just like we saw in that. That's what I would recommend
Okay.
because and really spending time. with that part.
Yeah.
You know, and until it starts to dissolve, right? You know, so it might be a month of sitting with that part daily, but that's your surest bet in terms of breaking that sort of pattern
Yeah.
of not asking for yourself. Because there'll come a certain point if you're doing that where that little girl will feel like, yeah, I'm worth it. And you'll say, and in the middle of a conversation, you'll just say, you know, they passed a new law and here's what it is. And you know, you'll be able to have that conversation organically as opposed to trying to
Right.
fight through it and claim your worth because
Right.
that's trying to fix the part
Right.
instead of heal the part. So that's what I'd
Exactly. So
recommend.
I'm writing that down, fix versus heal. And that's the thing. It's like I'm building relationships with some of these people and there is an organic conversation and I am worth that. And I think that they think it too. So, more will be revealed.
Yeah, indeed.
You
Okay,
know?
so great work. Anybody
Thank
have any
you.
questions about, yeah, you're absolutely welcome. Anybody have any questions about that? Kelly, do you want to tap your ear and then hang up on yourself again? No? Okay. Because you can. We won't even laugh at you while you're gone. You can come back and watch the video to see if we laughed at you when you did that. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well, very good. I think that's a good first one. And I think what we'll do, I'm trying to think of what else we need to do with this. My my guess is we should do one more just so people get a really good sort of sense of it. So next time, you know, somebody can come with one and come with a real juicy, fresh one. Like I just got off the phone with my boyfriend or my boss or something, and he knifed my tires or, you know, whatever. And then we can kind of go through that one and do one more. And then we'll sort of move on to um, step five. And I think the best way to do step five would be to have I almost I almost feel like people should have a certain number of these, and then in our group we should sort of pair off and have people read them. And then what we can do too, this is a little bit old school. I had a sponsor who um, required me to read um, all of my fifth step stuff, all the key moments of my fifth step stuff out loud
Mhm.
in meetings. You know, so it's supposed to be one-on-one, but she, you know, but to sort of heal the shame, which is maybe why I'm not a very private person anymore. I don't know. But it's just like, you know, just share all the sort of terrible stuff, you know, out loud. So we can open that up to people. And if people want to do that here, we can kind of do that because the more people you open it up to, the quicker that sort of shame and all that stuff's going to dissipate because you're going to do it. You're going to it's great to do it with one person. You know, it's obviously it's scary enough just to do with one person. But if anybody wants to take the cold water plunge of the fifth step, we can make that available to you. Um, see how I worked that cold water plunge in there? I thought that was kind of good. Okay. All right. So I think we've done enough self introspection for one day. I think we can call it a day. All right. So, hey, thank you guys. I appreciate you being here and participating in this process.
Thank you.
I will see you all when I see you, which for some of you
Next,
could be very soon.
all right.
We'll see. I don't know.
I'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.